I find this a fascinating dynamic here. That all the talk about the Steelers, is it possible that without Le'Veon Bell, whom they didn't have a year ago, and without Antonio Brown, who remains ridiculously productive despite all the craziness, do they actually get better?
I mean, it's possible. It's not likely, but it's interesting that Ben Roethlisberger is the one who said this because he's part of the reason why they got a little bit worse. And also, he is the only reason why they can be great this season. You said he was an elite quarterback. He hasn't always been that elite, especially in recent years. He's been a lot dependent on that offensive line and dependent on some of these players that he's run out of town. So if they're going to be good, if they're going to be great, frankly, he has to go back to that Ben Roethlisberger that was shaking off sackers and making big plays. He's need to do that and elevate the people around him because he's been accustomed to having some of the people around him elevate him.
You and I don't usually do this, but I agree with you.
I know. I disagree with everything else you said earlier. I disagree with the Kirk Cousins stuff you said, Amari Cooper. We can go through all that on the side.
I mean, you can disagree with it, but the facts are the facts. I mean, if we want to state a case, Kirk Cousins has made things worse where he's been.
Kirk Cousins was cooking. You can't say that the reason why they were bad was because of Kirk Cousins.
You can get 30 a game and lose 82 games in the NBA.
That's fan talk. I mean, that's fan talk. You're talking like a fan. You're not talking like an analyst who's been able to watch and understand that there's more complex things than grading a quarterback on how many wins he has or how many losses.
Well, when you got $80 million, that's supposed to equate to W's.
Ooh, good. Hold on. When you got $80 million, I think you did get a W. That's as far as I'm concerned. The way I do my math
in life,
is if you got 1, 2, 3, 80 million.
For sure.
I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Basically, the people who try to put up on the screen what we're talking about have lost hope. So we apologize to them in advance. But what are you saying? You believe that Kirk Cousins had a good year in Minnesota and it wasn't his fault that team fell back?
I mean, Kirk Cousins, no. I don't think it was his fault that team fell back. There were a lot of issues. They were moved on from their offensive coordinator. There were a lot of issues on that team. It doesn't seem that. Are you arguing that Kirk Cousins, that Case Keenum is better than Kirk Cousins? That is foolishness.
Well, I'm not arguing that Case Keenum is better than Kirk Cousins.
You just
All I'm arguing is that when Case Keenum was the quarterback there, they were in the NFC Championship. And when he left Washington, they were not in playoff contention. And when Alex Smith went there, they were.
When I got here today, it started raining. So maybe that I am impacting the rain.
Well, I mean, look.
I'm the rainmaker. I'm making it rain.
What goes on the quarterback record?
A lot of things.
Wins and losses. Does it go on the cornerbacks? Does it go on the running backs? The offensive line, defensive line? The W's and L's goes on the quarterback record.
I like to pretend that it's more complicated than that because that's why they pay us.
Well, don't pretend. They paid him $80 million to get W's.
This is why they're the best team in the business, ladies and gentlemen.